I just found this, and it speaks to me on a lot of levels. Too many forget that the continuance of a people should come from the love of one's own people, and not a hate for the other. I hate the mistakes I made. I wear them every day, and some I even wish I could take back. But time is merciless and flows only forward. I'm trying to rectify them, but some I may just have to live with. It's an uphill battle. Listen to this guy, No White Guilt.
Listen to this guy, No White Guilt.
No white guilt.
No White Guilt. Listen to this guy, No White Guilt.
No white guilt.
No White Guilt.
Everything from being a man to encouraging your kin to face tattoos, to how you identify yourself and your beliefs, to discerning your motivations for why you want to see the children of the West survive. Don't make my mistakes. You'll feel like a fool otherwise. Don't make my mistakes. As from Nathaniel Nelson, a warning to him about the warnings that he wished he had somebody share with him.
Listen to this guy, No White Guilt.
No white guilt.
No White Guilt. Listen to this guy, No White Guilt.
No white guilt.
No White Guilt. Listen to this guy, No White Guilt.
No white guilt.
No White Guilt. Listen to this guy, No White Guilt.
No white guilt.
And we're here. If you all can hear me all right, let me know, just for a very brief roll in, because some of you are going to be heading over to the PWR show in just about 10 and a half, no, looks like 12 minutes. It looks like maybe 11 and a half minutes. But it's important that I came here in today, that I dropped in to just bungee in today for a very brief rolling in, because I may or may not have information about a couple of things. And this coming Sunday, I want to cover what I am referring to now as the Biden bipolar syndrome. And now this has nothing to do with anything that President Biden is suffering from. We all know that he is in marvelous shape and clear as a stained glass at church. But this has to do with the people who are responding emotionally, physically to his presidency. And it has been developing, I think, since Biden legitimately won the election. And so those who did not want Biden to be the president are having this psychological failing in, and we're seeing this in many of the different white sympathetic spheres, both implicit and explicit. I'm hearing from all over the place when it comes to this. And and I've had several phone calls now and many messages about people suffering in this way. And I figured this has got to be named. I mean, if you had the Trump derangement syndrome, then we are clearly seeing a Biden bipolar syndrome, again, having nothing to do with a physical ailment of the president, whom we know is in his prime. But those who are responding to Biden and his presidency, the anti-whites, what they are doing in the White House. And it's just one thing after another taking place. It's important that we name it so that we can address it. And it seems to be manifesting in the same way. The reason why I chose bipolar for this is the definition of the actual bipolar syndrome. And you can look this up online. It perfectly matches what we're seeing in response to Biden's presidency in people in the white sympathetic spheres, both implicit and explicit. I see we have just about 8.5 minutes before PWR starts for some of you. And so we're going to wrap up very quickly here. I don't know how much, if we'll have much time for questions, but if you do, tag me really quickly and with any questions about the Biden bipolar syndrome. And I will be talking about it at length, in depth, this coming Sunday on the Going Free stream. So again, here very briefly, just to say that in this BBS, what we're seeing is people are going to the extremes in response to Biden's presidency and the things that Biden is doing, and the other anti-whites in charge, what they are doing. So people are either becoming dolorous, they're becoming saturnine, they're becoming disconsolate, and ultimately apathetic. They don't want to participate any longer. They don't want to know what's going on. They don't want to participate in the spheres that they are or were involved in. Even those who are going free, who should know better and who should be emotionally and psychologically resilient to this. We're seeing even some of those people who are heading this direction, that are dropping out, that are not wanting to participate anymore, as though we were in a state, I guess somewhere deep inside them, they're revealing, and they should look in the mirror at this, and we'll talk more about it, that they actually still held on to some of the anti-white narrative. They were still trapped in the anti-white narrative to a greater degree than they would like to be. I mean, we are all in the process of going free of that narrative. Getting out of that story is a difficult thing. But these people were clearly still too much wedded to that narrative. And in that narrative, the Western kind is always about to lose control over our destiny. That's long gone. You need to get into our story and realize we've lost control of our destiny long before we were born, long before our parents were born, long before our grandparents were born. The destiny was lost a long time ago. We are making a people out of a deracinated race. That's what we are doing. So this sudden depression is a sign, and this apathy, which is really a great sickness, is a sign that you were still believing that we were so close to recovery, right on the verge, and it looks like we're going to lose it. No, it's been gone. The other thing that's very important to understand is with the Biden bipolar syndrome, BBS, again, having nothing to do with President Biden, who is in perfect health, as though he were an 18-year-old man. I'm sure he was not even in as good as health as when he was 18. Another thing that you have to understand is people are going the other direction. All across the white sympathetic spheres, they're deciding, well, Biden and the anti-whites have won. And so now the only thing, or that they are rather virtually about to win in a way that there's no reclamation. And so they need to go to the extreme. And so therefore they are playing the villain, the various types of villain inside the anti-white narrative. People are going from being just patriots in their countries to suddenly wanting to be the Confederate flag waving villain in the anti-white narrative that's holding the rifle and is obscuring their face. The Ku Klux Klan idiots, they're looking to go this direction. They're talking about that. They're talking about becoming antique nationalists. They're talking about becoming actual Nazis and neo-Nazis. They're talking about becoming these militia terrorists. They're talking about becoming lone wolf terrorists. And it's all about just an image that they're sending rather than actually being these things. This is the worst time that you could do something like throw a tantrum and send out images like this. Nobody, for the intelligence services and police services, these people are not becoming these things in in reality, in your anti-white story, where there's going to be a real manifestation of these fictional characters, these people are just throwing a tantrum. They're saying these things. They are sending out these images. This is the worst possible time you can do that, because the intelligence services are looking for bodies to fill the roles in the anti-white narrative of the great boogeyman inside the anti-white narrative. So this is a roll-in going free. Not going to be here for a long time. We're going to roll out in just a moment, so that for some of you who will be heading over to PWR, we won't bump up against that at all. But we just got 3.5 minutes here. So the intelligence services of the United States and other Western countries may or may not be. I don't know. I mean, you're going to have to check with CNN. You're going to have to check with MSNBC and hear voices on the other side of the aisle. They may or may not be a program, a very specific one that I may or may not know about, specifically in the United States, where the intelligence services are on Telegram, are on Parler, and I may have other in the chats. That doesn't mean that they're listening to all of your conversation. It means that if they may be present with accounts that are encouraging people to go the direction of villainy, to playing the villain in the anti-white narrative, because they believe in their documents. And if you look at the documents that I have been sharing with you, the legal documents that we are allowed to have and hold and share, if you look at these documents, if you look at the things that they are saying, the anti-whites are saying, they specifically are saying that they're looking for the language, they've coded the language, they're looking for identifiers, and they believe that since there aren't big organizations, because we can't, every time we try to get together for white well-being or for some other white sympathetic position, and we try to get together on any big scale, they destroy it. So they believe that there are all of these little cells. This is part of their anti-white narrative, that there are all these little cells of dangerous groups of individuals. And so they may or may not be on Telegram and in Parler saying that we should be pretending to be somebody who's white sympathetic, that we should be X, Y, or Z, so that these cells, members of these cells, come out of the cells and begin communicating with the intelligence services. And then they're able to follow up and make a bunch of arrests to protect their career, to get their bonuses, to get the extra vacation. This may or may not be happening. The last thing I will say for everybody is that there will be individuals who are not necessarily, there will be people who will be pressed into service for the intelligence services across the West. May or may not be true. Ask CNN. I don't know for sure. So it's not a conspiracy theory. I'm telling you what others are thinking. I'm just sharing that. And those individuals, but then there also will be individuals who may or may not be allowed to continue to act a fool, play the villain. And then the intelligence services will monitor them, will monitor the people who have conversations with them, and then will put those people's names on the lists and will observe. And then you may end up being a body. So if you're communicating, if you're agreeing, if you're lauding, if you're celebrating, if you are whatever, this is a message I had to get on here quickly before those of you who are going to go over and watch PWR today, that you hear, because I may or may not have come into more of this information. It may all be false, whatever I heard. You can take it with a grain of salt, get voices on the other side of the spectrum. But just know that you all have to be aware of these things. There may be people out there who are not necessarily pressed into service by the intelligence services, but they are useful to them because they are watching everybody who is communicating with them, celebrating them, cheering them on. This I had to tell you all. And I love you all. Please be safe. And we'll see you on Friday for Tap with the great Yiz the Eunuch, and roll out.